I live in Ballard and I see my different neighbors just living in a different situation, and there's a lot of dehumanization happening. So I'm trying to bridge this gap and connect folks, and just kind of ask them who they are, because a lot of people don't know who these people are, what do they do,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And everyone's different. Everyone's got a different story. So I start at the beginning of Alex. Where were you born and raised?
I was born in Northgate, actually.
Oh,
Northgate, like right up the street from here. I was born in 1984. I'm 38 years old. I was born at like 9 a.m. September 23rd. And right after I was born, my mom took off with me to Texas. So like I was in Texas until I was like 1.5 years old. And like she had a drug problem. And she was young too. She was like 16. I think she kidnapped me from the hospital. I'm not sure about this, but I don't think that like if they had given her a drug test, which they usually do if they're suspicious, I believe, of drug use, that they will do that, and she would have failed. And so anyway, I was a drug addicted baby when I was born.
Oh, gotcha.
I think it was cocaine was her thing. But I know my grandpa. So I was adopted by my grandparents when I was 1.5 years old, and my dad/grandpa came down to Texas to find me and her, and found me in a very, very, like basically on death's doorstep as an infant. And so he took me back, brought me back up here, and I adopted me, and I lived with them ever since.
So your mom stayed in Texas?
Yeah, she eventually moved back up here, and then I have 2 little brothers. She had 2 more kids. Well, actually 3 more kids, but I never met the youngest one. But the other 2, my 2 little brothers that I know, moved in with us when I was like 9.
Gotcha.
Or something like that, and I met them. And they lived with us till like we were like late teens.
So you lived with your grandparents for a significant amount of time.
Till I was about like 18.
And but when you were growing up, did you know they were your grandparents? Did you just think they're your parents?
I believe that they were my parents until I was 9 actually, when I met my birth mom. Then I was like, wait, what?
Tell me about that. Like, how did that happen?
So my mom/grandma, she sat me down, and she was like, "Wait, I tell you something. We're actually grandparents, and you have a mom, another mom." And I was like, "What?"
Yeah, at 9 years old.
Yeah, mind blown. It was crazy because I actually had met her before, but I didn't know who she was. She worked at Sherry's as a server.
So she was already up here.
Yeah. She came up here when I was maybe like 5, I believe.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, she worked at Sherry's as a server, and we went to like see her, but I didn't know who she was, and they didn't tell me who she was. So she was our waitress, but I had no idea she was my mom.
She knew who you were.
Yeah, she did. Oh yeah, she did. And it was just like she didn't really. It was just like a whatever thing to her. So I don't really get along with her too well.
Okay.
My birth mom.
Gotcha. So when I want to go there in a second.
Yeah.
But so when your grandparents told you this, and that's when your mom moved in. Or you went where?
No, my mom actually had an incident with, she was like my youngest brother that I know's father. It was some drug dealer and thing, and like they had all got taken hostage with some dude with a shotgun, I guess, and like it was like really terrifying. So my grandpa dad, had decided to take custody of the 2 kids. Like their name's Josh and Andrew. My name's Alex, and they came to live with us right after that. That's why they had to tell me, because
Gotcha.
they were coming to live with us.
Right, but not your mom.
No.
I see. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, so you guys, all of a sudden had 2 little brothers.
Yeah.
And did you get along?
Yeah, we got along great. I loved them. I was stoked because I was an only child, and my parents. So my mom would always tell me like my birth mom, she ran away from home when she was like 14 and never came back actually.
Wow.
And my grandma mom, she thought she did something wrong, so she was trying to correct the problem with me. She would always tell me this. She's like, I made a mistake. Her name is Rochelle. She's like, I made a mistake with Rochelle, so I'm going to fix it with you. So she was trying to shelter me big time. So I was like homeschooled, and like I was in this bubble when I was growing up. So having 2 brothers or 2 playmates, I guess, in my house was like, I was like, yes.
Yeah, relief.
Super duper happy.
I bet. Yeah, I bet. Wow. Yeah, that's a lot. So, and then they finally said, this is your mom.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, how was that for you?
Honest to God, it was kind of anticlimactic. I was nervous. I remember being nervous. I remember going over to her house, and I remember my brothers had way more toys than I did. So that just like I was instantly like, oh, cool. But like, what sucked is my grandma mom did not like played major favorites with me and treated them like shit, really. So all the toys that they had got thrown away when they got there, and it just was like negative from day one between my grandma, mom, and my 2 little brothers.
Right.
Especially the middle one, like they still don't get along at all.
Right.
But the way it made me feel was it didn't really like make me feel any kind of really like, it didn't like affect me negatively like in a big way. It wasn't like a jarring like thing, at least as far as I know. I could have suppressed it, I guess, but
Yeah. Right.
but I don't think so. I don't know.
So you were at your I don't know what you call them, your grandmama and grandfather's dad until you were 18?
Yeah, and I moved back. I moved out when I was 18. I actually got married when I was 19.
Okay.
I had my kid. I have a kid, and I had him really, really young. And then that didn't work out, of course, because we were super young. And moved back when I was like 21 or 22 actually, until I was like 24.
But back from like, what do you mean? Like,
you
stayed in Seattle?
Yeah, we stayed in Washington.
Washington.
When I had my son, me and my wife moved to Bremerton.
Gotcha.
Because I got a job building fences over there.
Gotcha. And then you moved back to Northgate?
Yeah, so it didn't work out, so we had to move back to Northgate.
Gotcha. Yeah. And your son is where now?
He is in foster care at the moment.
Wow.
The mother of my son, he lived with me. I had full custody of him from when we broke up, which was when he was like 3, 4, until he was like 7, I think. And then he decided he wanted to live with his mom because he missed her, and it was his decision. He wanted to do it, so I'm like, okay. I probably could have kept custody of him, but I didn't want to fight it. I didn't want to fight my son. Like, I'm not going to do that. So I let him go live with her, and she'd gotten her life pretty much back together. She was kind of a bad person, or not kind of bad person. She was just like a fuck up, basically. But she was like getting her shit together, so he went to live with her, and things were good for about 10 years.
In Bremerton?
No, in Tacoma.
Okay.
She had moved to Tacoma. So
Gotcha.
we were in Bremerton. We got together, had the kid, moved to Bremerton, and then we moved back to Seattle, and then she moved to Tacoma, and I stayed in Seattle.
Gotcha.
So he went to go live with her in Tacoma.
Gotcha. And then, so what happened?
Like recently, like in foster care.
I mean, he was in Tacoma with your ex.
Yeah, and she had a new husband at that point.
Okay, and they're doing good, and
I thought they were doing good. They were doing pretty good, and he was a really, really good guy because she had 2 more kids.
Okay.
That we all thought were with him, but it turned out they weren't his kids. Mm-hmm. But he decided to raise them anyway, and not in a weird way, but like more of like they were going to go to foster care and live in a terrible situation kind of way. So he took him on, and I had a lot of respect for him for that. So I'd go down and hang out with him a lot. And she recently tried to murder him, actually. Yes, I'm serious.
Well, since we're here, what do you mean?
So that's why my son's in foster care. I don't know why, I don't know the whole story, but she took a baseball bat to him. It's in the Tacoma News Tribune. He was at his computer desk, and she went Barry Bonds on him.
Wow.
My son witnessed the whole thing.
Wow.
She was in jail for like 7 or 8 months trying to fight the case. She took it to court, and she won. Wow. I don't know how she won, but she won. I didn't follow it and stick with it too much.
And so your son went to foster care because of that?
Yeah.
Because he couldn't come with you?
Yeah, because I was like basically out here doing drugs.
Gotcha.
And I tried to put my act together, but what ended up happening was he moved in with his friend. He's in a band, right?
So how old is he now? I guess a good question.
17. He's about to be 18 in August.
Gotcha.
But he moved in with the drummer from his band's parents, and it's a really good situation. So I'm not going to try to take him out of it.
Yeah.
I am trying to get my life together to get him in living with me. That's what he wants to do ultimately.
Yeah. Wants to be with his dad.
Yeah. We're really close. I've taken him to some concerts, and when I wasn't like using, I don't want to bring drugs around my son, but when I wasn't using, I was like hanging out with him all the time, and we're like really, really close to each other. There's no animosity or anything. Like he misses me. I know he misses me. I miss him too, but
sure.
I just don't want him to be around a lot of the stuff that I'm around.
Yeah. Well, I guess is kind of begs the question: what do you want, Alex? Like, what kind of relationship do you want with your son? And
I want the typical, not typical. I want to be not doing this, and I want to like live with him, have a job, be normal, go to work, have my son living with me.
Yeah.
So that's really, really, really what I want, and that's what I'm kind of trying to work towards.
So what was the transition from living, were you at your grandparents and then came to be unhoused, or what was that like? What happened?
What happened with that was we moved back from Bremerton. We had been fighting a lot, me and my ex-wife had been fighting a lot, and we came back to my grandparents' house, and that wasn't I didn't become homeless then, but that was kind of the start of it, I guess you could say. We were fighting a lot at my grandparents' house, and I moved out and let her stay there with my son.
Right.
At first, and then I was kind of sleeping on the couch. I ended up dating a bunch of different girls, And like this was like a lot of partying would happen, and I was like really depressed about some stuff, mostly like the whole failed family, because I really wanted a family to work out, but but it didn't. So I started like getting deeper and deeper into stuff, and then I met this other girl who I was very much in love with, named Sam, and then she died, and I had been like messing around with like OxyContin and little opiates here and there, and I just went off the deep end when that happened. I was very, very close with her.
Gotcha. How did
she died of diabetic shock on her 23rd birthday.
Wow. And were you there and everything?
I was at her birthday party, but I did not. She didn't want me to come. We were fighting then. She was like, "Oh, it's your fault." So what happened was, at her birthday party, nobody showed up, and she was like really, really popular in high school, and she had left the guy that she was dating, who was kind of the reason she was popular, because he had this like party house and stuff, and to get with me, and I was at her birthday party. So like as I said, nobody showed up. I mean, she was 23 though. This is like way after high school, but in North Seattle area, people stay in high school till they're like 30.
Still young. Yeah.
But like so she was all mad at me because she thought it was my fault that nobody was there at her party, and I wasn't going to press the issue. And then she ate a whole bunch of cake and drank a whole bunch of liquor, and she had type 2 juvenile diabetes, so she wasn't supposed to do that at all. And I was like, let me come home with you. I wasn't thinking anything about diabetes. I just was like, didn't want her to like be drunk driving. Right. I was like, please let me come home with you. She was like, no, I want to be alone. Blah blah blah. Okay, whatever. Do your thing. I drove her home, but then I left, and then she, I guess, went to diabetic shock in her sleep. I don't know too much about that. That's what I was told, and apparently it's horrible. But she went to diabetic shock in her sleep, and the next day I was at work, and my homie Aaron called me, and he's like, you need to sit down. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, you need to go sit down, and he told me, yeah, I needed to be sitting down. Wow. That shit fucked me up, man. Yeah. Still does to this day.
Yeah.
But that was when I started I didn't start like doing like heavy drugs, but then I started doing a lot more OxyContin then. But I didn't graduate to like doing like the really bad shit, like heroin, until like later on.
Yeah. I mean, you're coping. Sounds like you're coping the best way you could with a pretty gnarly situation.
Yeah, it was pretty painful.
Yeah, that's gnarly. Damn. Sorry for that.
Thank you.
That's brutal.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of on and off on the streets, and then finally just kind of.
So after that happened, I was trying to juggle. Well, basically, I like buried myself in work. I wasn't really homeless then. I met this other girl after that. I kind of like healed, and I met this girl who she was like pretty wealthy, and like it was with her for a while. We were actually friends back in high school, and we'd go to raves together and stuff. And I ended up getting with her maybe like I say 2 years after this happened, and I was working full time, going to school full time. She was like all about education. Like her mom had a doctorate, and her dad was like a professor at UW or something like that. Like she was like super about education. She went to UBC, University of British Columbia. Like she was born in Washington, and then went to school in Canada, so out of country college. Like it was really expensive, but so I was trying to like I guess impress her because we were from way different backgrounds, and we were together for like I said, like maybe 5 years I think, or maybe not, maybe it was like 3 years, but I like full-time school and full-time work is really, really difficult, and I had been like trying to like cope with that by I was still doing OxyContin at the time, like Percocet and like pills. I was a pill popper basically, and I was trying to what happened was I remember I got sick one day. The guy I was getting it from got arrested, and I didn't have any other connection, so I'd never been sick from like opiates before, so I was freaking out, and I called a shrink, and he put me on Suboxone, but he also put me on Adderall and Klonopin, which is like a upper and a downer, or benzo. Anyway, I started abusing that, and that was when I really started like heavy drug use. This was like right when that time when I was with her, and that's what actually broke us up.
Gotcha.
Was that?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then from your living situation with her, did you go to
her,
the street?
Yes, that was when I got to the street the first time I went to the street. After that, I dated this other girl named Kendall, and that was a really, really, really bad situation. I was like an abused guy. It was really weird because I don't really beat up women. I'm not the kind of guy, but she was like beating the shit out of me, and like
it happens for sure.
Yeah, and it wasn't like that. It was like really too painful physically, but it was like mentally. I was like, man, what the fuck is wrong with you? Excuse me. And from that was when I definitely from after her, I broke up with her because I was like I started to use a little bit, dabble with like like heroin, like smoking it, and after that is when I went to the street. After I broke up with her, and I got with this girl named Sarah, who was a prostitute, but I really loved her. I really, really loved her too. And she was the other. I have 2 women in my life that I loved that died. She was the other one that died.
Wow.
So I was with her. As I was on the street, and then I met her, and then we got in a room in the U District, and then that was like for like a year. And then after that, we got kicked out of that room because like we were doing all kinds of illegal shit out of that room. She got me into shooting heroin. I was 28 years old when I started doing that. And then when we got kicked out of the room, that was when I officially became completely homeless. I remember talking to homeless people, being like, what's this going to be like, yada, yada, yada. I remember the first night I was out here, I was scared out of my mind. I didn't sleep for the entire week. And I tried to take every single thing in my little room I had with me out here, which was like just massive suitcases and all this luggage and backpacks and stuff. So.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, about 10 years ago, exactly.
Wow. So you've been on the street 10 years?
Off and on. I've been clean 6 times. I relapsed 6 times. One of the times I was clean for 3 years.
Oh wow, it's a good run.
Yeah, I was in a drug court program. But other than that, like when I was clean, it would be like for 6 months or something like that. And then so mostly I would say like on the street. Actually, I've been here for maybe 7 years. I want to say 6 or 7 years, but off and on. And I haven't been off of an opiate drug. Like I've either been doing like heroin or then I was doing like Suboxone or methadone. I haven't been completely clean since I was 28.
And you're 38.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Well, Alex, is there something or anything you want the people of Seattle to know?
Absolutely. First of all, I wanted to say that I am sorry for everything I did back in the day when I was like in the pursuit of drugs, because I definitely have committed crimes and done things that I'm not proud of. Nothing too like really bad, because I feel like my grandma mom raised me right, and that like I have a conscience, so like, but it's kind of twisted, you know what I mean? So I'd be like, if I'd break into an apartment complex, but I go in the garage, and if I was like gonna break a car window or something like that to get something out of the car, if I saw a car seat in the car, I was not gonna break the window, you know, like that. I'm like, oh, I'm a good person because I do that, but I'm still breaking a window. And actually, when I got clean for the 3 years, I had a car, I was making really good money, and I had a car, and somebody did that to me, and I was just like, oh man, I feel bad for everybody I did that to. So yeah, everybody that ever had I can't like name anybody, or I can't think of anybody, but you know, if they're out there, you know, I do apologize, and I feel really bad about it. But I would definitely want people to know that like, for the most part, people out here are not what you think they are. They're not like, we're not gonna hurt you. We're not full of diseases. We're not gonna like, I don't know, like, I get a lot of people looking at me, and I'm pretty good. One time I went to college, I majored in communications, and I got pretty good at reading nonverbal communication through that course, I guess. And I took psychology, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not a genius or anything like that. I'm not like a psychic, and I can't tell what people are thinking, but I can kind of sort of gauge what people, like from the way they look at me, what they're thinking. I mean, it's kind of seems pretty negative, but I would like anyone to know I would never, ever, ever, ever do anything to hurt anybody. I'm not like a weirdo. I don't like look at women and be like, ooh, I'm gonna get you. I'm not. If I'm around and something goes wrong, I'm there to protect people. I'm a man, and I'm a good man, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't ever want somebody to think that I would ever do anything negative to them. However, I do understand why people would think that, because there are, in the population of the homeless people out here, really fucked up people. So, like, I don't really know what the answer for those people are, but they're very few and far between, because I have a lot of friends who are actually really good people. When you have so many people constantly treating you like shit, and like you're treating you like a piece of shit, you start to like, you know, think negatively of people, and like, I try really, really hard to not do that.
Yeah, my guess is if, you know, like you just mentioned, if there's enough people constantly doing that, your survival mechanism kicks in.
Oh yeah,
you
absolutely.
Want to put up walls and defense, and it's just a normal human response.
Yeah, like homeless people, they're definitely in survival mode at all times, and that's
no doubt.
That's something you gotta really break out of. I mean, it's not easy to do. It's really, really easy to go down into the hole, and it's really hard to break out of it.
Yeah.
And then like, I just would like people to know, like, they don't have to worry when I'm around, and anybody that's with me, if they did anything like that to even remotely scare a person in any way, shape, or form, I would hurt them, like, you know, before not really badly or anything, but you know what I'm saying, like, it's just not okay to me.
Yeah.
Like, but I am, I'm a good person, and I'm also going to, and I also want to let everybody know that I'm planning to get clean myself very soon, and become a productive member of society. And I'm thinking, since I've had this experience, I want to use the knowledge I have to help people. So I'm planning to do that with my life soon.
What would it take? What are the steps that you see it would take to like get clean, like can kind of get
So
there?
what I need to do is I need to get on Suboxone. That's what I need to do first. And to do that, I'm going to go to a detox. There's like a 4-day detox. It takes about 4 days to get because I'm doing fentanyl now, but it takes about 4 days to get that out of your system enough that you won't go into what's called acute withdrawal. So if I took Suboxone right now, I would become it would be bad. I would go into this really super full-blown withdrawal thing, because it's like a blocker. It blocks the opiates in your system and it would flush all the opiate out of my brain. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go figure out what the detox program is and go to it and it's like a 4-day medical detox thing. And
is that like a free resource?
Yeah.
Seattle offers, gotcha.
It's at Harborview, I believe.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
then so I'm going to get my prescription for Suboxone first, have it with me when I go there, do the detox, and then on the 4th day when I'm leaving detox, take the Suboxone,
Gotcha.
and then just stay on it.
Yeah.
But I know in my heart that I'm so want to be done with this that I'm gonna stay on it.
Yeah.
I'm completely done with drugs. Well, this whole life anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Anything else?
Well, I guess I'll add to that. The reason that I think that it would be important for me to help people is because I remember when I was in drug court, I had these counselors that had just gone to college to learn about people on drugs, and just I remember every time I had one, I was like, "You are so bad at what you do. You have to really have experience. You don't have to, but you to relate to a lot of people in the ways that they need to be related to, and not in every way, but in ways. There's certain ways you have to relate to them that you have to have the experience to do so.
Right.
So I plan to use it.
Gotcha. Your experience of being on the street,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
Yep.
Right on,
Because
man.
I can relate to the pain people go through. Is what it is.
Yeah.
And anybody and everybody who does an opiate and is out here doing opiates did not come out here to do it because of it's fun.
That's right.
Every single person who does this shit it's from a lot of pain and a lot of heartbreak.
Yeah.
It's like a spiritual Band-Aid, I guess you could say, but I don't mean that in a good way. It's a very negative thing, but
Yeah.
it just heals it over, but when you take it off, it makes it worse.
Yeah.
Or it's a lot worse.
We all have coping mechanisms.
Yeah.
And that's one that people use, and
Yep.
there's many coping mechanisms out
Yep.
there. So to numb the pain for a little bit, but it's if you don't do the work and really tackle it, it's still there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's tough. Alex, man, thanks for your time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
your story.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it. All
Thank
the
you.
best, man. I'm gonna grab this mic
Oh yeah.
and take a couple photos.
Cool. Here you go.